All right, welcome back, DP Review TV viewers. Chris Nichols here from DP Review, and I'm joined by Carrie Rose and Rishi Sanyal, clearly. We're still waiting for him, but we just got to see the new launch for the brand new Sony a6400. And so what we want to do is give you our very early initial impressions on the cameras. I think first thing we should talk about, Carrie, right off the bat, the looks of the camera, very similar body to what we've seen before.
It looks like, I mean, it makes sense. It slots in between the a6300 and 6500. It seems like it's got the 6500 grip.
A little bigger.
But yeah, this is basically, it's almost like an a6300 Mark II.
Absolutely. And we should say same weather sealing capabilities as the 6300 and 6500, so we are missing some seals. But the thing that does grab me is the new flip screen.
Yep.
So this is a touchscreen interface, fully articulating. It even actually does a countdown when you flip it up like that for selfies. So that's a new interesting feature.
Yeah, no, it's nice to see on this sort of camera. And, you know, again, it's not going to be, if you put an external microphone in the hot shoe, if you want to do that, unfortunately, this screen design is not perfect for that.
It does block, yeah, the screen if you put a microphone there. Yeah. On that note, too, let's mention mic jack, yes, but no headphone jack. That is still missing.
Correct.
It's using the USB micro interface as well still, so we haven't upgraded to USB-C or anything like that. Single SD card slot.
Yep.
We're still using the W batteries too,
We
hey?
are indeed. Look at this little guy. I mean, we're so spoiled now by the Z battery, right?
Z. Yeah, Z.
We're so spoiled by the new batteries in Sony's new third generation full frame cameras that, you know, I mean, it's fine. It's a smaller camera.
Sure.
I get it.
I get it. They want to keep the body design the same. I get it. But from what we've tested, and it's early, and from what we've seen with the CEPA ratings online now, it's basically the same battery usage that we've always been used to, which is, to be honest, not stellar.
So Sony's kind of done this to themselves by really pushing forward in their full frame cameras in that regard, and then not seeing it here. It's a little disappointing.
That being said, Sony users that are moving over to this camera probably already have 10 of those batteries sitting around, so we're all good. It's not a big deal.
10 to 12.
10 to 12.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So it looks like the same 24 megapixel sensor that we're used to, you know, already. So that hasn't changed. So really, the major change is going to be the new Bion's X processing unit, right?
Correct. Yeah. So they're saying that is. I don't think they really lifted it from the A9. They're saying it's very similar to the one in the A9. We were hoping to see that maybe that processor would have an impact on rolling shutter. We know rolling shutter is a problem with the a6300. Very, very detailed 4K video, oversampled, beautiful, but it gets jello-y. There's a lot of rolling shutter on this camera. And you'll see it if you're panning and using an electronic shutter for any reason. You'll see it.
And you know what else doesn't help that situation is a complete lack of in-body image stabilization. Right?
Absolutely.
And I get it. The 6500 has that. That seems like they still want to protect that. But this camera does add the new processing unit, which gives us the new capabilities for tracking focus.
The tracking focus is something that, like, I am just really kind of blown away by tentatively. I mean, we've only had this thing for, you know, half a day so far.
If that, yes.
Yeah, but the way it seamlessly moves from eye detection to face detection to then tracking that subject if it for some reason loses the face or the eye, it's seamless. I don't have to change any settings. I don't have to muck about in the menus. It's just you just turn on this tracking. I'm doing the flexible spot, expand flexible spot tracking, and I just point it, half press, and I can reframe as I want, and it just follows my subject incredibly tenaciously.
Absolutely, yeah. This basically replaces the lock-on AF feature. And I know that when I first got this camera, instinctively what I do is I go in the menu like I've done with many Sonys before, and I start customizing buttons and setting up features. I need a custom button for eye autofocus on-off kind of thing, right? Well, you actually don't on this camera. Really what Sony's doing that's so different here is they're getting away from having to set or really even customize your autofocusing capability. They're basically saying, look, we're gonna make it simple, have this set, and it will detect eyes when it detects eyes, it'll detect faces if you want to detect faces, it'll go into a tracking mode automatically if you want it to, and yet you can still focus traditionally as well. But it seems like the manufacturers are really revamping their autofocus game, and I think Sony's really trying to make it as simple as possible. So even though it's a complicated system, we're now getting to the point where technology makes it more simple.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, for my style of shooting, and, you know, indeed a lot of, you know, even pushing it, if I was going to go shoot sports, I wouldn't have to change too much on the autofocus from what I normally do. I can kind of put it into this one setting and just use the camera and not have to think about it, not have to change it. It's very reminiscent of Nikon's 3D tracking and the DSLRs. You can just turn that on. If you're a back button shooter, then you've got continuous focus whenever you want it. and you basically just never have to mess around with the settings, and it always does a great job.
Yep. Again, early testing, but we definitely notice a big improvement in the tenacity of the tracking system. It seems to be working, like you say, very similar to the Nikon 3D, which is sort of the gold standard for it.
Yep.
But yeah, you can still do the traditional setups as well. This camera is now shooting, I believe, 11 frames per second.
11 frames a second.
So we got a nice quick camera, and is this going to be something that wildlife photographers are really going to jump on? I feel yes and no. The new eye autofocusing system, the other big change is it now will detect animals' eyes.
Yes, correct. Well, coming. Future months, it'll be added to some cameras and in firmware and whatnot. But I think I still, the lens support for me is still kind of lacking a little bit in APS-C for Sony. That's the problem. There are some, you can always buy the full frame, buy the 100 to 400 GM. Stellar lens, beautiful lens.
A little bulky, but it works.
It's big, and it's just that's just the reality of these systems. Still, there are two separate systems. They made a big deal about one mount.
Yes, they did.
But still, there's the number of dedicated APS-C primes, especially that are at a reasonable price, kind of have me hesitating on the system still.
I guess, again, the only thing I would say is if the animal focus works as well as it does traditionally for humans with the classic eye autofocus, that will be a really big benefit for wildlife photographers. And again, it's about simplifying the process, making it easier for you to get those shots in focus.
Yeah, and they specifically mentioned dogs and cats. You're watching this on the internet. There are cat photos all over the internet, and the a6400 will make getting good cat photos even easier.
Sure, right? Which is like 98% of the internet.
It's mostly what I use it for.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I guess the only other thing to talk about, video features, no real changes, honestly. Yeah. Oh. You're going to come sit down?
You know what?
Hi, Rishi.
I don't think Rishi's coming.
I don't think so. It's all right.
All right. So, Jordan Drake, yes. Tell us about the video features here, Jordan.
Okay.
Here, I'll hand the camera over to you.
Yeah.
You can drive.
All right. So not a ton of major changes, but some of the stuff that we saw for the A9 is working its way into it. The biggest one for a lot of people is going to be that they have revised their interface for tracking and video. They've had the option to do center lock AF and track a subject for a while, but it was very convoluted to set it up. Most people didn't even know it was there. Now it's like a Canon or like the new Nikon Z series. You just poke the screen and it'll do its best to track it. Now, we still want to test this a lot more. I actually haven't had a chance on the 6400. I was just using the A9, which is a very similar implementation. And if the box stays on your subject, it seems to do an excellent job of tracking. But it does seem to kind of drift. I had a lot of time where the focus would be on a face and it would just work its way down the arm, onto the hand, onto another person walking by. The other major update we've been begging for is they put time-lapse back in these cameras. It used to be a paid firmware update. Once they got rid of Play Memories because it was a terrible interface and nobody liked it, we lost any capability for in-camera time-lapse. That's back, and that's going to be added to the A7 III, A7R3, and the A9.
And it looks like a really nice, robust implementation of it too, from the the features, and you'll see it on the screen. Looks really nice.
So we're still waiting for that perfect, elusive vlogging camera out there. Now, Rishi's on the phone.
Rishi's calling.
Oh, he must have just called me.
That's all I've got.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would mention is, again, we're just playing with this camera now, so over the next couple of days, we are going to try to give it a full review. We should mention the 6400 is a camera production firmware. The A9 does have these new implementations, but the A9 does not have full production firmware yet. It's still a beta, so any results that we get from that, again, don't worry, we'll review that later when we actually get full software. But the next day, we're going to have fun with this, hopefully, and give you guys a more detailed review.
Yeah, we got to get back to testing. The bus is like outside. Right
yeah, we were squeezing this in and like
we're being left behind.
Yeah, we got to go.
Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff.
We will be commenting regularly over the next couple of days, so keep in touch.
And keep an eye on the DP Review homepage. We're going to have some samples up there. We're going to have hands-on slides so you can get a nice up-close personal look at the camera. So yeah, watch out for that too.